And I concur. I mean, we see it a lot as on the agency side. I think what you're doing there is really good because a lot of times people come to us with activations and it's quite stilted in the fact they'll go, oh, we've got access to players or we have access to some of the talent. But I think what you're talking about there is almost taking the consumer behind the rope for access and you're
That's right.
activating that in a way that makes a real difference. And I think also, which without giving you know too much sun, it's giving the authenticity. I think the authenticity to those kind of plays are really important, and so many brands get that wrong. They take the access point incorrectly, and they're not authentic with what they're trying to deliver. I also believe timing is quite important, and it sounds to me as a brand, you're quite invested in the long term because I think where a lot of people go wrong with that kind of access authenticity, but it's also, hey, I've got an activation and I've got to do it tomorrow. And that's really
Right.
hard to get that kind of triumvirate right.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And part of that long-term vision is we want the audience to interact back with us. That is incredibly important to us. So, what social media and these properties that we have allow us to do is build that two-way dialogue that time and space require. So, for instance, whether it was the golf interaction or whether it was the Lady Gaga campaign, it allows participation from the audience in the way that traditional marketing did not allow. And that's where social media becomes so helpful because we can now have fans relate to what we can do,
Hmm.
influence what we do, and participate in a manner that requires a little bit of time. The message needs to sink in, it needs to sort of permeate the culture, it needs to influence the audience, and then it needs to give the audience a mechanism and a chance to respond and participate. That's where long-term loyalty and ultimately fandom is built out. It is when they respond back to what you're doing, not just consume it through a one-way interaction.